It's strange how the things that we once wanted now sit unused. So why do we keep buying things we don't really need? And why do we spend so much money on stuff that ends up sitting in our closets or collecting dust on shelves? The answer might lie in history. It's a story that's nearly 260 years old and still painfully relevant today. This is the story of Denis Diderot. Diderot was a well-known French philosopher in the 1700s. He lived a modest life, didn't have much money, but his mind was priceless. He co-founded one of the most detailed encyclopedias of his era and was deeply respected in intellectual circles. But in 1765, Diderot was troubled. His daughter was getting married and he couldn't afford the wedding. Word of his situation reached the Empress of Russia. She admired his work and didn't want to see him struggle. So she stepped in and bought his personal library for £1,000. That's over £150,000 today. It was a generous gift and it changed his life. Diderot paid for the wedding and decided to treat himself. He bought a rich, luxurious robe. But that robe was the start of all his problems. It was beautiful, sophisticated, and suddenly everything else he owned felt out of place. His old rug looked too shabby, his chair too plain, his desk no longer matched the elegance of the robe. So he replaced them, one by one. A new rug from Damascus, sculptures, fancy mirrors, new kitchen table, a leather chair instead of straw. He just couldn't stop. And in trying to match the beauty of that robe, he ended up in debt. This pattern of spending is now known as the Diderot Effect, when one new item creates a ripple and everything else starts to feel outdated. And here's the thing, we do this even today, all the time. This isn't random. Businesses understand this behavior and they design for it. E-commerce platforms use algorithms to suggest more things to buy. People who bought this also bought that. They're not guessing, they're using your psychology and they are getting smarter. CRM giants like Salesforce now talk about digital concierges, AI tools that speak like humans, learn your preferences, and gently guide you toward buying more. It's like having a personal salesperson, but one with a brain full of data, working 24/7 across millions of customers. That's where we are headed. A world where AI understands your behavior, sometimes better than you do. And while that sounds convenient, it's a little dangerous. Back in 2006, when CRM was still in its early days, the Berkman-Klein Center for Internet and Society at Harvard University launched Project VRM. Its mission was clear: to give individuals more power in their relationships with vendors, shifting them from being passive targets of marketing to active, empowered participants in the buying process. Though Project VRM hasn't published new research as actively since its early years, the ideas that it championed remain highly relevant. Its principles continue to influence today's landscape, reflected in data privacy laws like Europe's GDPR and California's CCPA, which give individuals more control over how companies handle their personal data. And maybe in the coming years, we will see new systems and regulations that put users in control, where you decide when or if you want to hear from brands. It's possible, and honestly, it's necessary. But until that happens, maybe we just need to pause to remember that story from 1765 and to think about what Diderot said. I was the absolute master of my old robe. I have become the slave of my new one. Let that be a reminder. Sometimes the simplest things bring the most peace. If this story made you pause for a second, share it with someone who always ends up buying the extra stuff. I'll see you in the next one.